Michael J. Asbury. I'm playing Thomas in this production of The Incrementalist here at the Aurora Theater. I've been a Bay Area actor for, good gracious, probably over 25 years now. I lose count.
Hi, my name is Sam Jackson, she, they, and I'm playing Raz and Martine. And I've been acting in the Bay Area for way too many years. And this is my fourth show with the Aurora.
Kathleen Ridley. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I play Dr. Nina Boucher, the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs at UC Berkeley in this play, The Incrementalist. And I've been acting here in the Bay Area for the past 22 or so years. Oh no, it's 25, I guess. I've been here since 1997. And happy to be a working actor.
Hi, my name is Anna Marie Sharp, and I use the She series. I play young Nina and Miriam in The Incrementalists, and I've been acting in the Bay Area since I transferred to UC Berkeley in 2017.
I have been in, I think it's 4 projects at Aurora, all in all. First, I was in Splendor. That was directed by Barbara Damashek. And that was, well, I don't remember what year that was, I'm not gonna lie to you. And then I did Exit Strategy, which was directed by Josh Costello, and I got to work with Michael J. Asbury for the first time, which was amazing, and now I get to work with him again. And then The Bluest Eye, of course, with Michael J. Asbury and Kathleen Ridley and Monique Williams. And then Father-Daughter, oh my gosh, which just happened, a hop, skip, and a jump ago. And that was directed by Graham Smith, and I worked with William Thomas Hodgson, who I first met on the Lorraine Hansberry apology play with Don ages ago. And now, finally, The Incrementalist.
My past work at the Aurora Theater Company includes my first production here, which was Satellites, back in 2008. And I've done 3 shows here since then. Exit Strategy, The Bluest Eye, and here again in The Incrementalist. Love the space, love the atmosphere, love the company, Josh, and the entire production staff. It's a great place to be here, and some place that I consider a theater home.
I personally think it's about sort of the trajectory of Nina's character, from Nina's character at UC Berkeley when she's younger, and sort of the strides that are getting made as she, goes to grad school, becomes a vice chancellor at UC Berkeley, and the change that comes along, the incremental change that comes along with, what it is to be a Black person in a position that's also, fighting for other Black people and Black students and the things that, they deserve in academia and the ways that they should be served in academia. So it's really, I think it's really about Nina, and I'm not going to spoil the rest. Boom.
The Incrementalist is about a zillion different things, so it's really hard to put it in a little capsule. I think of it as a story about 4 people who come together when a crisis takes place at a university, coming in with 4 different points of view, but still trying to resolve the same problems that we have been going through in time immemorial about with white supremacy setting down upon us, with police violence setting upon the Black community, with our different views about how we go about creating change. Do we do it incrementally as this play approaches? Do we do it with a bang and a boom? And is there a right or a wrong about that? And I think it's a play about 4 characters who are coming at solving a problem and addressing an issue in 4 different ways and trying to find a way to come together while still in keeping their integrity as human beings and their integrity with what they believe in.
What is this play about? That is the most terrifying question, to be perfectly honest, because I feel like there's so much that I can say that like this play is about, and it will not tell you the heart of the play. Elevator pitch, this play is about a couple of young black rah-rah ass students at Berkeley who are wanting to make change, one of whom I'm playing, named Raz. They get brutalized by the police, and they go on a mission to try to figure out how to remedy this problem. And they are working alongside the vice chancellor, or trying to work alongside the vice chancellor to solve this problem, and coming up against some people wanting to make incremental change, and coming up against their own want and need to make big splashes and not allow the world to tiptoe into change.
Oh, Lord. What is the incrementalist about? I try not to give too much away. I guess the best way I can kind of describe it is that it involves an incident that happens on campus at UC Berkeley, and it kind of pits the student population, segments of the student population, against the administration, and how to negotiate making things right between the parties involved. And I play a character who's brought in to facilitate campus dialogue, in his words, in order to kind of make this thing, try to help to make it work. I guess that's the best way I can describe it without giving too much away. Thomas Simeon, we talked about him a lot during rehearsal. He's someone who's considered, I think the term we came up with was a public intellectual. He's an author. He's a former UC Berkeley grad, went to undergrad there with Nina and Martine, and has maintained his connection to the school, and through his friendship and connection with Nina, that's how he's brought in to try to mediate and facilitate this conflict.
Young Nina, I feel like young Nina is in the 90s. She's very, optimistic and still sort of figuring it out, honestly, the way, young people in college do. She definitely has a sense of herself. And I think she's coming into that power more and more, and sort of being like observant of the way she has to like move and groove within the system to get changes. And Miriam is a little bit of that, but also not quite. Miriam is very, I don't think Miriam is too concerned with sort of, I don't want to say tiptoeing because that sounds rude, but I feel like Miriam is walking in like full-footed, stomping, into these positions, and, in interviews as well, and being very vocal and saying exactly what it is that she wants in terms of change. But she's also very reasonable. I think there's a little bit of both that makes Miriam.
Who are my characters? I can't tell you too much because I'm gonna give some stuff away. But Martine is a young black man in 1992 who is trying to make change. He is very much a part of the movement, as we like to say. He's fist high and ready to make change on a campus that he's at, which is also Berkeley. Bet you didn't know that. Work on that. So he's doing that in 1992. And Raz is a young, queer, femme-bodied human who is doing similar things to Martine, which is kind of wonderful to get to play both of these characters who have like-minded goals. Raz is also trying to show up and show out for the community and make sure that the next generation has a more level playing field than the one today.
Dr. Nina Bechet is the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs at UC Berkeley. She's worked very hard to work her way up through the university system, up and up and up, and that has its joys and its struggles, because as one works their way up in a hierarchy, one still has to deal with and find a way to address the white counterparts in this world and still be in some ways palatable and approachable and open-minded while still holding their feet firmly in their blackness, which is something that I feel that Nina is challenged by and experiencing on a daily basis, as what it is to be an upwardly mobile black woman and still be a strong black woman and have to contend with all of the challenges that are a part of that. I think that Nina is also a deeply compassionate person with a big open heart, very intelligent, very loyal, but at the same time not afraid to try to call people on anything that they put out there that isn't authentic.
Participating in these talks that are leading to nothing. We walk away with less, and all they've lost is a few hours of their time today. Oh, we know who they is. All they've lost is a few hours of their time. Hell, they even come out with more capital because of it. We want equal pay. Sure, we understand. By all means. We want greater distribution of wealth. Like? Sure, we understand, yes, by all means. Sure, we understand by all means, yes. We will get there eventually. That's not.
Nina is like Kathleen in that I think of myself as a person who can look at all the different vantage points and look at the different sides of an issue and see a point of view that everybody could possibly have on that. I think how Nina is not like Kathleen is I think Kathleen is a little bit less diplomatic than Dr. Nina Bechet. Kathleen has been known to express herself very bluntly and strongly, and devil may care what is going to be said in that moment. And I think that the difference with Dr. Nina Bechet is that Dr. Nina Bechet, in her position, knows that she can't do that she has to find a way to temper her feelings and her attitudes about particular things. But I embrace both of those parts of me and all of those parts of me, Kathleen, and all of those parts of Dr. Nina Bechet.
Miriam is like Anna because I spent a lot of my teenage years in a valley that you imagine is what a valley is. It was very suburban, all of that jazz. And I think, coming into one's blackness, especially in a different kind of environment that welcomes and fosters and nourishes that blackness, is what I got here in the Bay Area. It's what I wanted all along. I think there's that sense of feeling lost and performing as a character that's just not you. But once Miriam goes to Cal and is sort of observing everything, and in the BSU just we're just deciding that we're going to be blackity black. Like, we have some catching up to do. So that is how Miriam is like Anna, honestly. And young Nina is also like Anna, because I do believe that when I was in the valley, I sort of did think in a way that was incremental. Like, okay, this is good enough. We did this, and accepting a smaller victory because there is a bigger picture and there are bigger battles as well, which is honestly like a really true thing at the same time. You take your wins where you can get them. And how are they not like me? Good grief. I think Miriam really pops off at the mouth, and I think Anna sits back, lets things process, maybe like Thomas is gonna think, and then either say something or not say something. But my general reaction is not to initially pop off, because that's just, nope. I wish it was, though.
Martine is like me. Well, Well, let's start with the negatives. I think my connections to my characters are interesting. I have a lot of connections to them. Martine specifically. I mean, obviously, I'm not a man in the '90s, so there's that. But I think that, like Martine, I like to stand up for what I believe in, and I don't like to back down from that belief. Sometimes to a fault. But I think, unlike Martine, I really want to bring everyone with me, even if I feel like they're not quite on my page yet. And I think Martine is ready to steamroll ahead, regardless of whether, anyone else is ready or not. I'm trying to bring everybody on the boat, With Raz, I think Raz is who I wanted to be in my early 20s. I wanted to be as comfortable in my skin as Raz is. I wanted to be as open with my love as Raz is. I wanted to be as rah-rah as Raz is, and without giving anything away, as willing to hear that I'm wrong as Raz comes to be. So I know that doesn't really say how I am like Raz or not like Raz, but I respect Raz a lot. So I hope to be like Raz when I grow
up. Let's see. How was Thomas like Michael? Well, Thomas is really corny, and Michael's not. Okay, that doesn't work. Thomas thinks things through really thoroughly before he acts on them. Well, actually, I kind of like that too. How is Thomas not like Michael? Thomas is a pretty snazzy dresser, and Michael loves sweats and jeans and sweatpants. So that's probably one of the biggest differences between the two. Dad jokes. Well, first, I'm a dad, yes. Dad jokes, I've always been one who loves what are considered bad puns. I think they're hilarious, but many folks think they're bad puns. And I tend to bring one to rehearsal regularly. And after having done that, Cleavon decided to add one into the production, and I take great pride in the fact that he did that.
Cleavon Smith. I adore that man. He and I worked together years and years ago, doing a one-act kind of like festival at Theater First, and he wrote a piece called Just One Day, and it was my first like solo piece. It was directed by Elizabeth Carter, but I got to work with him very closely during that process as we were writing and rewriting all throughout the process. And now this process again, writing and rewriting and just getting to collaborate on who this character is and how they're feeling and how they move through the world. So it's been really nice.
I first met Cleavon working in the Bester Playground Festival in San Francisco, where Kathleen Ridley, one of my fellow performers, and I performed in one of his short 10-minute plays for the festival. And I remember being impressed by his work then, and it's a really proud moment for me to come full circle 10 years later and work on a full production of one of his works.
Cleavon Smith is a brilliant, poetic, funny, wonderful human who creates characters and stories that go so deep to the soul of people and so deeply in the souls of Black people. And I feel like that my journey with Cleavon started when I was in a 10-minute play for Playground that he wrote with Michael Asbury, who's also in this show, and it's a joy to be with him again. And working with Cleavon is an opportunity to really embrace the poetry in language and the rhythm in language and the music in language. And even as my character in this play says, that she is someone who loves language and music and the music and language, and that is so apparent in Cleavon's work, and getting the privilege of being able to say those words and be a part of those rhythms that get invoked in it is really a wonderful experience.
Cleavon has been really present during the rehearsals, during the workshop. I mean, I just met him last summer with the reading. But I really appreciated Cleavon's willingness to ask questions on how we think, on our thoughts about these characters, since it is a new play process. So it felt great to know that, our input really helped shape this, and that we were just given the opportunity to voice those questions and concerns. On Zoom, I have worked with Dawn Monique Williams before, but this is my first time working with her in person, in real life. And I just gotta say, honestly, I've learned so much from Dawn. It's not often that I've gotten to work with Black women or be directed by Black women, and I've learned so much. Like, I go home with something new and thinking of something different every single day. Dawn is in my head. And I'm thinking of just like how to be better in the way that she pushes me to be better. And I just feel welcomed and accepted in this environment, and I feel safe. So Dawn's made me feel really safe in this process.
I have had the pleasure of working with Dawn Monique Williams before, but not in person. So the first thing we worked on was a Zoom reading back in those days during the panorama. And it was called Apologies to Lorraine Hansberry, U2, August Wilson. And then we worked on The Bluest Eye, also here at Aurora. And now we're finally working together in person. And it's so exciting because during both of those processes before, I feel like we got closer and closer as friends, and being able to just hold space together during this process has been really lovely.
Have I worked with Dawn Monique Williams before? Yes, I have. Several times. We've done virtual work. We've done in-person work. I consider her one of the shining lights in the directorial world in the Bay Area and across the country, as a matter of fact. And she is what I like to consider an actor's director. Very bright, solid vision, and someone who I thoroughly enjoy working with.
I worked on Medea with Dawn Monique Williams at African American Shakespeare Company, and I played the nurse. And I loved that process with Dawn because I felt like that with her sort of fearless and open-minded direction, there was so much freedom and flexibility for me to create and for us to create as artists together. And it was a liberating and open environment to tell a deeply painful and traumatic story, but still such a safe place to tell it, and such a safe director to work with in that environment. Last year, I had the great good fortune to be in the audio play of The Bluest Eye through the Aurora. And I had longed for a long time to work here at the Aurora Theater, and I was so excited when I got cast in The Bluest Eye, and then pandemic hit, and I decided to take it deeply personally and say it was trying to keep me from the Aurora. But then doing the audio play was beautiful and enriching and heartening, and a surprisingly wonderful, full experience, even though it was an audio play and done through Zoom. And so imagine my absolute joy when I got the opportunity to work with Dawn again and work here finally at the Aurora in person in this amazing play.
I think the most challenging part of a new play process is not really knowing the full story until you open. I think in a lot of plays, you get to read the play, you maybe have seen the play, you've maybe, been in the play before, and in a new play process, you are creating these characters from scratch, from nothing. And we have, of course, the words on the page, but we don't know how they are embodied. And I'm still today, and I'm like, I'm still seeing this play as bits and pieces, scene by scene, and not seeing the full scope of it. So I think that's the most challenging thing for me. And the most exhilarating thing about doing a new play is also that, is that I get to create this character from nothing. I get to be the first one to breathe life into these characters, and that I get to do it alongside a bunch of actors and artists and directors that I love and trust and respect. So, yeah.
The most challenging part of the new play process is the fact that it changes over time. And I'm one who likes to prepare in advance. And so by the time the process starts, I like to already have both feet in it. And that's impossible to do in a new play process because there are constant changes all the way up to the last minute. What's exhilarating about it is pretty much the same thing. The fact that the changes continue to happen, you have to adjust, adapt, and it's all in an effort to make the production better. And that's exhilarating. And again, to work with Cleavon on this production some 10 years after we've met, and to watch his growth and evolution and development, and to grow with him, that is probably the most exhilarating and satisfying aspect of the process for me.
The most challenging part of this new play process is learning to trust the playwright and trust yourself and trust the director and trust the other actors, that everybody is in this to make it the best thing possible. And not that I don't think that that is the case, not that I ever think that is the case, but it's part of it is this is new, and so it's scary and it's challenging, and what if this isn't what the playwright wants, and what if I'm not giving the director what they want, and what if I'm not doing the right thing in this scene for this other actor? So the challenge isn't necessarily the people involved who are creating it, it's my own personal internal struggles with wanting to do justice to the work and with the other people that I'm working with. And at the same time, that is the great joy when you feel the uplift of bringing a new piece to life with this group of people who I adore. I adore the people that I'm working with. There's nothing like the feeling of being out here with people that you love creating with.
The most challenging part of the new play process, honestly, I think it's getting new pages and then having to sort of like restructure everything. But I think everything else was exhilarating about the new play process. Seeing the way Miriam developed from the very beginning, I was like, oh, okay, Miriam has some meat on her bones now. Like, all right, I see you, girl. But just knowing that you were a part of that development, even if it was just a random conversation that we had, during break, and somehow that found its way into the script. Knowing that you were really listened to, and just the collaborative work that we just all got to do together, it feels like something you would do with your family.
As I worked with Anna, we've done a couple of stage readings before. This is our first production together, so we're both really excited about the chance to actually work together on a production. Sam Jackson and I have worked together. We've done, I think this is our third production together. We did Exit Strategy here, The Bluest Eye here, virtually, and we also are performing in this production together. So we have a great working relationship. And Kathleen Ridley and I have probably performed in every iteration of a connection between two individuals that you can name. We've been husband and wife, we've been she was my grandmother in one, she was my queen in another production, we've been siblings, she was my sister-in-law, and we have at least a 20-year relationship of working together. And she's someone who I respect, love, and adore, and as I do everybody in the cast. And it's just a great honor and privilege to be able to work with people that you really care about.